Thank you for coming. I know it's very early, but we're glad to have you here. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Osho. I'm one of the co-founders of dClimate, and I'm also the CEO. We have a packed event today in terms of content, in terms of panels, and in terms of attendees. So very happy to have everyone here. And before we get started, I wanted to thank the dClimate marketing team for putting this together. It's been the culmination of quite a few months worth of work. And I also wanted to thank the generous sponsors that helped make this possible, namely Greenly, Climate Collective, Block Apps, and Arbol. So the goal of the event today is to bring together a lot of people from different backgrounds, kind of a multidisciplinary approach to ReFi. And we'll have some content later on that kind of gets into ReFi and what it is. But the way I think about ReFi is that it is the intersection of climate tech and finance in order to power more sustainable economic systems. So for us, what that entails is data-driven solutions to climate analytics and climate financing. I think I'll go ahead and for those of you that aren't familiar with dClimate, I can jump into a little bit about what we do. So dClimate started as a mission to index and organize global climate data so that it is easier to work with, it's easier to query, and it's easier to get the analytics and insights that you need from this very rich set of information. Most of this information has been collected by governments for hundreds of years and made publicly available. There's a lot of private vendors in the space as well, but one of the things that it's lacking is simplicity and ease of use. It's very hard to access, it's very messy, and it's difficult to standardize. So creating programmatic systems to query data, to pull down information for the locations that you need to do analysis on are very important when it comes to powering financial solutions such as insurance or scaling nascent markets such as climate derivatives or carbon. And in order to do all this, we started collecting it, we started cleaning it, and we started standardizing it. And as we built this infrastructure, we found that, well, one of the ways that climate differs from a lot of different asset classes is that all these different climate perils, they're interrelated, right? So when you have precipitation in New York, when you have heat in Texas, when you have wind in Amsterdam, these are independent systems that are possibly not correlated to each other, but ultimately they're part of a much broader climate model and climate system. And so being able to standardize data and look at all of these locations in one go makes things a lot easier. And we started with an approach which was, let's make a marketplace around this. Marketplaces make it extremely easy to index and organize data. They make it quite easy to find what you're looking for and also grade the quality of data. Because not all data sets are created equal, especially when it comes to things like forecasting, MRV, sensor-based data. We want to have an understanding of how it compares to ground truth so that we know that we're working with accurate data. So that's where dClimate Marketplace was born. And from the marketplace, in the process of building that, what we learned was that once you crack the data infrastructure side, you can make it very easy to spin up lots of different climate tech applications. I've been a data scientist for something like 14 years. It's been in a wide variety of industries, but climate data has been the most messy, the most dense, but also the most interesting to work with because of all these interrelations between the different climate perils. And so when you're able to query these data sets and you have this infrastructure, what you want to do is take it from raw data, because very few end users want just a time series of rainfall in New York City, for an example, or like hourly temperature in Florida, right? They want to be able to understand what changes in these systems mean for their business, what they mean for their local community, and what they mean for their livelihoods. So by developing infrastructure around that, we were able to start creating climate applications as well. And that ultimately helps end users. And we decided to start open sourcing these tools so that anybody with an interest in climate and a data background or a team of data scientists can put together a bunch of different data sets, wrap it in a nice UI, and make it very easy to get the analysis that you need and to get the insights that you need. That's how I think about what we do. We are core infrastructure for climate tech and climate analytics. And this is important because this is necessary for the financial side of ReFi and for the financial side of climate tech, which is building transparent markets so that we can better allocate capital to sustainability while still making it possible to run a profitable and innovative business. So one of the products that we launched recently, over the summer actually, was Aegis. Aegis is a physical climate risk assessment platform, and it's the culmination of a lot of work on this data infrastructure side. So essentially it allows you to run different global warming scenarios to see what the actual financial loss of various climate scenarios is for your business. And I find that to be particularly interesting and particularly relevant to the whole conversation because it's not just about, the rainfall in a certain area causing disruptions in a farm, but you can abstract away from that. Its impacts on supply chains, its impacts to end users. If business supply chains are disrupted, end users and customers generally see price increases and things like that. And without this kind of information, it makes it very difficult to plan and to build resiliency for your business. And that comes into the final goal of ReFi, which is to enable individuals, local communities, businesses, governments to build climate resiliency by creating novel financial tools and helping them mitigate the losses that occur from climate events. These losses have been growing as climate events grow in intensity, and this ranges from the large hurricanes that make a lot of headlines all the way down to local droughts, or even in the case of renewables, lack of generation from lack of wind speed, things like this. So I find this kind of work particularly interesting because of how tangible the results are. And the fact that we can create interesting asset classes around it and build new markets makes it particularly cool for the financial side. So that's a little bit about us. And with that, I guess we're gonna jump into a series of panels, starting with the climate risk one. Thank you.